Hello everybody and good morning. Welcome to today's Call the Midwife Live, where I will jump in and answer any of your questions about your pregnancy, your birth, or your preparing for parenthood journey. It has been a super busy week in the office. Even though we had our public holiday here in Australia on Tuesday, we just have so much new content coming out, which is just hugely exciting, but just means that the team is working super duper hard. But it's great because we all love what we do and it all feels very exciting. So for you, if you're first time here watching our lives, maybe you've stumbled across Birth Beat online or on social media. My name is Edwina. I'm a registered midwife and I have been a midwife for 15 years. And a few years ago, I started teaching face-to-face childbirth education classes after I had my first daughter, Polly, and really just felt that even as a midwife and a new mum, there was so much out there that wasn't shared with me, and I thought we need to be able to support women and their partners in a more engaging, fun way. And that's when we started Birth Beat, and we taught locally here where I live for a few years. And then the demand just got bigger and bigger, and we decided to take our courses online for those people who want to be able to prepare in the comfort of their own home or around flexible work or not have to travel to the hospital, etc. And that's where it's grown to. And I'm trying to look around. It's this little guy here and we teach our online birth classes. You can come and join one of our online programs at birthbeat.com. And we also teach baby and child first aid. So as I see you all streaming in, I would love to know, where are you watching from, how many weeks you are, or perhaps you have a little baby at home with you and you're tuning in for some sleep tips or some introducing solid or feeding or breastfeeding tips or bottle feeding. Whatever that looks like, we are here for you. I look forward to answering your questions. So say hello, let me know where are you watching from, and start posting your questions, because I do this for about half an hour, a couple of times a week, and there's always so many questions. I do my very best. Some days I get to the end, some days I epically fail, and there's just so many more questions there. So make sure you pop your questions in early and I will get on to answering them from you. Hello, here you all come. Hi, Steph from the Gold Coast with a 5-week-old little girl. Hello, Steph, and welcome. Lou is 27 weeks from Tamworth. Hello, Lou. We just welcomed you, I think, into the online program, didn't we? Your name looks very familiar to me. Annalise, hi, Edwina, my little man. Oakley is 9 weeks old, and I'm struggling this week since about Sunday. Oakley has been very unsettled, lots of tears from him, seems to have a lot of wind and has been really squirmy during feeding, and also takes a while to get him settled and to sleep. Annalise, I've got some great tips for you around that. I'm going to come back to you there. Hello, Emma. She's here with Delphine. I love that name so much. Nearly 6 weeks in Tassie. Do you have any tips for how to baby wear? I feel like I'm squashing her when I put her in the carrier and don't want to stretch her hips open to have them dangle out, but will it hurt her to sit on them? Yep, okay. I'll go through that. All right, I'll go back to Annalise and just quickly answer this question around Oakley. So for little baby Oakley, Annalise, and particularly at 9 weeks, remember Oakley was living inside of your belly and had only amniotic fluid that Oakley needed to digest. And he, really had everything provided for him. It was constant stimulation in terms of sound, swooshing, movement. And now all of a sudden they're born and they're learning to eat. And I really say, think of this like the 4th trimester. Really, Oakley is should be, but think of Oakley still requiring your 24/7 support. And I know that that's hugely exhausting for a new mum, but it helps you to kind of have that perception. I was listening to something, I adore Harvey Karp. And if you don't know him, he's a very well-known American pediatrician who really studies this whole sleep, settle, and 4th trimester space. And he talks about when a foal, so think about a horse foal being born, and they are within 4 hours up and running around and able to feed independently and can walk. And then you think about a newborn baby, their 4th trimester, so I say from that 0 to 12 weeks after they're born, they are still 100% reliant on mum. They can't do anything for themselves. You know, they're these little squidgy balls of deliciousness, but they're also hugely reliant on you. So try and just think about that a little bit when little Oakley is pushing your buttons, so to speak. And we'll have a lot of time because we go from just this constant swooshing sound, this constant rocking and movement to all of a sudden being born, and then we feed them and we expect to be able to put them down and that they will just stay nice and settled. So Oakley is obviously needing a lot from you, Annalise. So a few quick tips for you is around what we call the 5 S's. And again, this is Harvey Karp's work, and I think it is hugely helpful for all new mums to know this information. But one of his S's is side settling. And why I want to talk about this now, because I find with a lot of women who do birth beat, it's those early weeks of when bub is unsettled after a feed that they find it very hard to settle bub to sleep. So side settling, and I want to be really clear here and say before I explain this, please know that the SIDS guidelines say that all babies must sleep flat on their back with toes at the bottom of the bassinet or cot, no bumpers, no pillows, no toys, etc. I've been through it many times what the SIDS guidelines are. I am just talking about settling your baby, and you can settle your baby on the side, and when they fall asleep, roll them onto their back. Or side settling really works well for after a feed. So it might be that you've got bub here over your leg or hip, and you can see how that's side settling. I'll turn bub that way. But that in a bassinet, so bub being up on side, firm pat pat shush shush after a feed and after you've burped bub is a really good way for very unsettled, colicky like babies. I'm not saying like a diagnosis of colic, but that really helps for the upset, fussy baby. So I think you've said has been very upset, lots of tears for him, and seems to have a lot of wind and has been really squirmy during feeding, and also takes a while to get him settled and to sleep. So try the side settling for me, Annalise, and I've got a few other tips that if you want to just DM me, I'm happy to share those with you. We're working on this space right now because so many birth beat parents are wanting help with it. So the side settling, please make sure though that Annalise, once Oakley is asleep, rolling them onto the back. And it is the early days, remember, still 4th trimester. During the feeds, if there's unsettled, and what I imagine is happening with little Oakley, and this is a possibility, is that he's hungry and frustrated when he comes to the breast. So try hand expressing a little bit before he comes to the breast to increase the flow, so that when he's getting on there, he's getting the satisfaction and the flow of milk that he's looking for. Try those couple of little tips. Let me know how you go with it, Annalise, and I'm sure that will make a big improvement. That was the other thing I had to let you all know. We have had, so I jump on Stay Home Mums, which is another Instagram page, and we've had some pretty incredible feedback about the lives that we did around what to do if your baby chokes. And I was just totally remiss of me that I haven't come on here and let you all know exactly what to do if your baby chokes. Why this is front of mind is I recently just had a message from a lady who did our online first aid program, thankfully, and was introducing solids to her little 7-month-old, and bub was eating and drinking really well, and she felt really confident, and her little baby girl choked, and I can't remember whether it was breakfast or lunch, but I think she was saying it was some toast or sandwich, and this poor mum absolutely sort of was crippled by fear. Thankfully, her husband was also, so it probably was breakfast. I think, I'll read out the text message later. Her husband was also in the kitchen. Thankfully, they had both done what to do if your baby chokes and the what to do if your baby stops breathing CPR modules that are in our first aid course, and they were able to act really quickly. Now, the mum was pretty crippled by fear, and we've talked about that, and I've explored that more with her. Thankfully though, the what to do if baby chokes guide was on their fridge, and her hubby and her had watched the program and knew what to do and were able to respond really quickly. They did still require an ambulance. The little girl didn't need transfer to hospital because they acted and did the right thing straight away. The paramedics came and checked her out and said she was fine to stay at home. But the most important thing is that you all know what to do. So I'm hosting a free masterclass, 100% free. I want to teach you all, like, I know that I am also running a business, but I am also about let's save children's lives. That's the most important thing. So 100% free masterclass next Thursday night. So instead of doing my Instagram live, I'm going to do a free masterclass here on Facebook to show you exactly what to do if either your newborn, your younger baby or toddler chokes, how you need to respond. So make sure that you grab your partner, make sure that you share this with your mother's groups. We're going to put the link here now so that you can register. We'll do live Q&A. So please make sure that you register. You need to put your email address in because I can't have thousands and thousands of people coming in and then manage to do live Q&A. So we will limit the numbers, but we will do it again, I assure you. I don't want to be turning anyone away, but jump in here, register, flick it out to your mother's groups, flick it out to your friends and family who you know need to know what to do if a baby chokes. So the link is there. Sorry, I completely forgot to say that at the beginning. The link's there. Come and join us. We'll do a live Q&A. I'm also going to send you all out. That's why I want you to put your email address in. All out the downloadable that this gorgeous mum had stuck on her fridge, which is essentially just, where is it? What to do if your baby chokes. And it's just a guide of what to do in case you do freak out just like she did, which is very common. There's nothing wrong with that, just so that you can follow that guide. So I won't go into answering any questions about choking here today, but it's next Thursday night. I will do it in our Birth Beat Tribe closed group. So you'll be asked to join the Birth Beat Tribe, and that's an awesome bunch of mums as well. Okay, there's the link. Sorry, that was a very, very long way of saying that. I was meant to say it at the beginning. Okay, Emma with little baby Delphine in Tassie. Okay, so yes, I do. I have some great tips on how to baby wear, and I'm a huge fan of baby wearing. Firstly, it is really comfortable for mum. If you've got an upset, fussy, colicky type baby, after a feed, it means that Bub can have a sleep on you. And I have to say, I totally mastered the art with Polly and Theo of even being able to go to the toilet or to rest and have a sleep while Bub was sleeping on me. I love being able to get out and walk the dog and get outside and get some sun and fresh air. So baby wearing was absolutely key to me in the early days. However, and again, this is not any sort of sponsorship or paid sponsorship, there were certain carriers that I found uncomfortable. Roscoe loved the sling. He's a really tall guy and he liked being able to wear the sling, where Bub was more in this position. However, I had congenital hip dysplasia. Polly was breech, so I was really worried that she also may have some issues with her hips. Thankfully, she didn't. But the beauty of baby wearing in the Ergo or the Manduka or plenty of other products is that their hips are in that lovely flexed open position, which is really good for them. If you are going to be getting the Ergo or the Manduka or one of those, please make sure that you get the newborn insert, because again, for a newborn, how old? She's 6 weeks, she will be requiring the newborn insert. I personally found the Baby Bjorn and the ones where you take the weight on the shoulders a little bit uncomfortable. I don't have much upper body strength, and I like to wear the weight down on my hips. So just think about that if you're still looking to go and buy one. What you should be able to do is have Bub high enough so that you can kiss the top of their head. See that? That's the guideline on how to have Bub in terms of baby wearing. Have their hips out wide and you'll be able to kiss the top of their head. You don't want them sitting down too low like this. Again, when they're in this position, you can see their face, you can see their nose, you can see that they're breathing. So it's important that you're able to do that, even as we come into the cooler weather. And if anyone's watching from Canada or the States, and I know there's more and more followers there, if you've got Bub and your baby wearing Bub, please just make sure that you haven't overdressed, and please make sure that you can still see your baby so that you are able to check in and see that Bub is breathing well there. But I'm a huge fan of baby wearing. So I feel like I'm squashing her. I'm sure you're not squashing her. Like when I teach with how to put a nappy on, just as long as you can fit 2 fingers between Bub and the baby wearer and it's not too tight there, you're not squashing her. I put her in the carriers, don't want to stretch her hips open to have them dangle out, but will it hurt her to sit on them? You actually are better, Emma, to have their hips out like that. It's actually good for their hips. So hopefully that is helpful for you all. Yay, Lou, I'm glad we welcomed you. So Lou just joined our online program. Hello, hello. Ashley, hello, watching from Wollongong with my almost 5-month-old. Hello. Any tips for starting solids and how to introduce new flavors? Just start with brekkie, question mark. Look, Ashley, I would say definitely, so the first things are waiting until Bub is interested in your eating. So does Fallon look at what you're eating? Does he lean in to so if you've got, this is a pen, but if you're offering a spoon to him, will he lean in and will he open his mouth? Can he independently sit up in his high chair and maintain the strength so that he can do that? So these are kind of things that you just need to tick off. I say not earlier than 4 months, but usually around 4 to 6 months is when we will start to introduce solids. But the bub needs to be able to independently sit up in a high chair, okay? We don't want to be doing, and I talk about this in the what to do if your baby chokes, in how to prevent your baby choking, because that's the most important thing. So we will cover all of this next Thursday as well, about position, how to start introducing solids, when it's safe to do so. But for you, in terms of starting solids, new flavors is very much go with family flavors. So what do you guys eat and drink? What do you guys, enjoy? That's definitely going to be something that Fallon will also enjoy because he's had exposure to those flavors in your amniotic fluid, through your breast milk. That is the way that it's going to work. People often think that it needs to be really bland for babies. Just look at what your family foods are and start like that. If brekkie is a good time for you, when Bub wakes, feed him, and then about half an hour later, look at introducing that breakfast meal. Or you can do it at lunchtime, whichever works better for you and your family. There really isn't any right or wrong. I would recommend breakfast or lunch over dinner, because often it takes them time to learn to digest that milk, that food, and you don't really want to be starting that at dinner time. But we'll go through more about safety and how to introduce solids and make sure that you do it in a safe way next Thursday night. So if anyone's just come on, we're doing a free masterclass on what to do if your baby chokes next Thursday. The link is there to go and register, and we'll be sending you a downloadable to go onto your fridge so that you can follow it. It's just so important that everyone does that. Hello, Manel. Hi, 31 weeks pregnant with total placenta previa with lobe accessories. I'm really scared. Okay, so Manel, I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to take a moment to share with everybody what that means, because it might be affecting another mother. I realize I'm speaking really, really quickly. Sorry, I've got to remember to slow down. I want to make sure I get as many questions answered as possible. So Manel has, again, so when your baby is in your belly, ideally like this, and this is what we call cephalic. Sorry, I'm just going to move the little tripod back a little bit. And there's an area here which is our cervix and the opening where the baby passes through. Now, often, early stages of pregnancy, the placenta, so this is your placenta, will be low and gradually comes up either to the side or up the top. With that, Manel is 31 weeks gestation, and her placenta, I think you said with total placenta previa, is still very low, which means as what we call the os, or as the cervix opens and the baby's head starts to apply pressure there, it can threaten a placental abruption where there's a big bleed. So women who have placenta previa, thankfully, in Western countries, we're able to identify that through ultrasound. So they will have a booked cesarean section for that reason. And if they have any bleeding antenatally, it's a reason to come straight into the department so that we can check what is causing the bleed. Now, I will say, a lot of the time, the placenta will be low in the early ultrasounds, and so you'll be diagnosed with placenta previa, but it's a bit of a watch and wait, and hopefully it comes back up so that is not the risk for you. At 31 weeks, I imagine they've got another scan booked for you at 34 or 36 weeks and a plan in place. However, we don't know what your placenta is going to do. The fact that you have lobe accessories as well, I would say prepare yourself to know what to do if you do have any bleeding. That's my first tip. And then secondly, prepare yourself for a vaginal birth and a cesarean section. Do a course like ours, this is, shameless plug here, but this is why in our Birth Beat course, we prepare you for a vaginal birth, an induction of labor, an emergency, a water birth, and also a planned cesarean section. Because up to 40% of our community actually have a cesarean section, and I feel like so many childbirth classes don't actually prepare the parents for what to expect if that is your outcome. So there's no right or wrong way to birth. It's more get educated and know what to expect. So that removes the fear for you. That is what I'm all about with childbirth education. So Manel, please come and join our course. You'll be able to see one of our beautiful birth beat couples who come into the hospital, who go from the ward down to theatre. You'll watch the anaesthetic being put in, you'll watch the cesarean section, you'll be able to go into recovery with this couple and really go behind the scenes so you know what to expect. This is not the norm in childbirth classes, but we created this and we made this video because we think it's so important that parents know what to expect. So Manel, please come and check it out at birthbeat.com. All of you, I don't want it to be, you don't want to come from a place of fear coming into birth. We want you to be feeling relaxed and excited, and that's when you're going to have a better, more positive birth experience. Okie dokie. Sorry, I'm just seeing where any questions are. Emma, thanks. I had hip dysplasia too, so worry about manipulating hers too much, but they've been checked out and are fine. Yeah, so we'll practice using the carrier. Yes, and Emma, I was hugely paranoid about it, and you've got a little girl, and you've had hip dysplasia, and she's your first, so you tick all the high risk reasons for having congenital or hip dysplasia with her, but actually putting it into the carrier will help her to be into that flex position, which is good for her and good for her hip development. I know it feels like you're really flexing them, but it actually is a really good way. And if you've got any concerns, if you're able to see a physio or see a physio at the hospital, take your carrier in and actually get them to show you how to fit it, and that will make you feel much better. Okay, Lucy. Hello, Lucy. Lucy has said tips on releasing wind, upset tummy. My newborn is 1 week old. Olivia gets very unsettled after feeds. Milk finally in. Yes, absolutely, Lucy. So a few things around that as well. Again, like what we were just saying for little baby Oakley, if you didn't hear that earlier in the live, it's a huge shift. Their whole digestive system, for them is a huge shift. Their whole brain is exploding and they're learning so much more. So it is a time of definitely adjustment. However, after you feed Bub, again, making sure that you let Bub have a little burp and see if that helps release a little bit of the wind. When you're doing nappy changes, so when you've got little baby Olivia on the change table, I'm just doing this and popping her up on my knee, doing a little bit of what we call running man. And this is a really good way, again, to release any trapped wind in the belly. Some nice massage at nappy change time as well, again, will help release that wind. And then what we call the side settle. Now, please, again, I feel like I'm saying this so many times, but I'm so paranoid that someone's gonna jump on here and say, that midwife's telling people to put babies to sleep on their side. I am not. It is one of the 5 S's. It is what we are, absolutely saying. It is easier to settle a windy, upset, colicky baby on their side. So a pat, pat, shush, shush, letting Bub settle, and it might be even just on your leg like this, on your arm, whatever way feels comfortable, lying them down in the bassinet, and then once they are asleep, rolling them onto their back. That is hugely helpful, the old side settle. I am making some videos around that tomorrow, which will be helpful for you all. The other thing is, Lucy, it's super early days, so there will be times where Bub is unsettled with feeds. It is, again, just a huge transition for that beautiful little Bubba. As best, try and get rest whenever your baby is getting rest, and realize that you might need to change your sleep cycles a little bit as well. Neha says, hello Edwina, watching from Sydney. Ryan just turned 6 weeks old yesterday and going for his first vaccinations today. Any tips before and after? Fellow mums mentioned giving Panadol. Thank you. Yes, you can give what we call prophylactic paracetamol, so sort of preloading the baby. However, not all babies need paracetamol. Some babies are okay. What I would say, Neha, is the best thing to do is feed your baby through the vaccinations. So be putting Bub, it depends if you're breastfeeding or bottle fed, but putting baby Ryan to the breast or to the bottle, and then having the nurse do, it's going to be two thighs today for the 6-week immunizations, but have Bub feeding through the immunizations. The beauty of that is that they get this lovely rush of feel-good hormones and pain relief, plus the sucking is very sort of like calming and soothing to them. Again, that's one of our 5 S's that we talk about, is sucking is very soothing to the baby. So having bub on the breast or on the bottle, whichever way you're choosing to feed, through the vaccinations is absolutely key. And then if you feel after that they need some paracetamol, by all means, also getting little ice pack if they're little sites. So they'll have 2 little sites here, so they'll have 2 little band-aids. Take those band-aids off at the next nappy change. Sometimes I see those band-aids on still 3 or 4 days later. Definitely don't need to be. Just take them off at the next nappy change. And if they're, you know, warm or swollen or causing them discomfort, a little ice pack can really be very helpful at the site of the vaccination. And also lots of feeds, lots of cuddles. Know that bub might be a little bit more upset for the next 24 to 48 hours. And if you feel you need paracetamol, you can give paracetamol. Manel said, thank you so much. My absolute pleasure. All right, guys, I'll just check. It's already 10:30. Tegan, when should buns start to feed more regularly? I imagine that says, oh yeah, bubs, sorry. She can range from anywhere to 2 hours and 4 during the night, but last night, during the night, she went 6-7 hours. Oh, yay, that's exciting for you, Tegan. So how old is your bub now? So again, that newborn period, they will often feed each 2 to 3 hours during the day and get to a stage where they can stretch a little longer at night, which is fabulous. So just let me know, Tegan, how old bub is. Usually they will settle into a 3 to 4 hour routine in the day and then a 6 to 7 hour stretch at night. Again, I just use that loosely as a guide, and it is really good that you know how to plan and again, what are the expected sleep and feed times for that age of baby, because then it helps you to know how to sort of base it. Again, they vary, but it is good to have a bit of a guide. I will send you a guide, Tegan. Send me a DM. Yeah, I knew you meant bubs. Yes, great. Neha, you're breastfeeding. That's perfect. So just have Ryan on the breast throughout the consult and when they're having the immunization, and it makes the world of difference. Yes, so Tegan bub is 3 weeks. So great that you've already got a 6 to 7 hour break at night. That's wonderful. I'm hoping you're getting some good rest at that time too. I imagine you woke up quite a few times thinking, is Bub still breathing? Is Bub still okay? Because you're so used to waking 3 to 4 hourly. It will just be gradual. There's no right or wrong, but usually between 4 to 12 weeks, they will establish a good solid 3 to 4 hourly and then start to extend a little bit out to 4 to 5 hourly. Because as they get older, they're not eating as many calories because they're not growing as rapidly. But at 3 weeks, they are still putting on weight very rapidly and still requiring regular feeds. All right. Okay, team. So once more, please make sure that you take the time to register. It will be about 30 or 40 minutes, the masterclass. We'll be doing live Q&A. We'll be providing you with a what to do if your baby chokes guide. There is just this is one thing you absolutely want to invest your time in. Please take this link, share it wherever you like. Social media, mothers groups, plug it wherever you like. This is like my one wish, that we could absolutely reduce the amount of panic that new parents experience around introducing solids or what to do if their baby chokes. Still, so many people don't know what to do, and it's such an easy thing to address. So come and register for our masterclass. I can't wait to share that with you next Thursday night. It's one of those things that I want to teach you these skills, but I hope you never ever have to use these skills. But the reality is, it is one of the most common things that will happen to a newborn or a toddler, and one of the most common presentations we see in the emergency department. There's the link there. Come and join us. I will be answering whatever questions. I know there's lots of questions coming through in stories. I'll answer those throughout the day. Okay, see you all soon. Bye.